So, here's the way that I think that Civ 4 is a better game than Civ 3. Don't get me wrong, Civ 3 is still a better game overall, in my opinion. I like the combat system better, the corruption system better, and just the way the game is represented visually on the screen, I really like. But Civ 4 has enough clear advantages in my mind that I could understand why it might be someone else's preferred title. So, here are those reasons. The first one is Civics and Government. Governments in Civ 3 were a good game mechanic that added some interesting choices to the game. However, they were far from perfect. The despotism penalty served as the chief motivator for getting players to engage with the government system and switch out of despotism, which was the base government. But the despotism penalty sucked, both from a game perspective or game design perspective, and just like having to deal with it every single game. That was made worse by long anarchy periods, 2 to 3 turns, and while I liked playing around the different governments and theory crafting situations where one government might be the strongest, there's just a limited number of things that governments changed in the game. The mix and match system from Civ 4 worked a lot better. It was very customizable. Rather than making you choose from cookie cover governments that kind of funneled the player into a particular playstyles, players had much more choice. Anarchy times were short and more manageable, and I liked that the bonuses were really cool and more often positive than negative. Some of these bonuses mirrored the ones in Civ 3, like worker speed and being able to hurry production, military police, but some were cool, new, and unique, like bonuses to science on specialists, free specialists, bonus tile yields, and bonuses to great people points. A final reason that Civ 4's system works better is that it added more color to the tech tree. In Civ 3, there were maybe 1 or 2 governments you'd even consider throughout the game, which meant that they didn't really incentivize research. You only were incentivized to research those 2 or 3 techs, or those 1 or 2 techs. Civ 4 had 20 civics sprinkled throughout the tech tree, and you might easily use half of them over the course of the game, so that gave you a lot more incentives to tech. So this brings me to my second reason that Civ 4 might be superior, and that's the tech tree in general. The tech tree in Civ 4 was just straight up better. There was so much more content and less dead space. Teching in Civ 4 felt more rewarding. There are tons of bonuses and useful power-ups thrown across the tech tree. Things like, obviously there's going to be buildings and units, but things like free great people, bonus tile yields, religions, global bonus health, just so many incentives to tech. Civ 3 had this to some extent, but the moments were few and far between. Teching in Civ 3 felt like doing laundry. It was just some chore that you had to do, because every era there were a couple of game-changing techs. Things like steam power or replaceable parts. There are some counterexamples in Civ 3, like philosophy granted a bonus tech to the first Civ that researched it. That led to all kinds of cool choices and situations, especially in multiplayer. We deal with this a lot. But there just weren't enough moments like that in Civ 3's tech tree. The eras in Civ 3 made it even more monotonous. There were techs that were useless or near useless, but many were strictly required for era advancement. In Civ 4, it's a lot easier to beeline to faraway techs with cool abilities or wonders that you need, because eras aren't used as gating mechanisms. There are still some underwhelming techs in Civ 4, although none that do absolutely nothing, because there are some techs in Civ 3 that do literally nothing. But you aren't forced to research those techs to the same extent that you are in Civ 3, so for that reason, Civ 4 might be a little better. So, the third item on our list is diplomacy. Let me preface this by saying that they made tech trading a lot harder in Civ 4, and I dislike that. It's not even available until you research Alphabet, and some techs that the AI just won't trade. But the diplomacy system as a whole, like mechanically how it works, is a big improvement in Civ 4. Diplomacy was, on some level, well-designed in Civ 3. Like, it had a lot of cool, well-thought-out mechanics. None of that information was communicated to the human player. Like, there's a laundry list of actions in Civ 3 that will make the AI dislike you, and some of them are really smart and cool inclusions. Like, if you raise a city, that gives you a small global penalty to reputation in Civ 3, and a big penalty to the civ whose city you raised. At no point does the game tell you this information. In fact, it actively tricks you into believing incorrect information about how the diplomacy system works. For example, how are you supposed to know that you are penalized for making peace before a military alliance expires, when the AI does that all the time? Similarly, in Civ 3, you're penalized for declaring war on someone if you already have troops in their land. How are you supposed to guess this when the AI does that all the time too? So Civ 4's diplomacy screen shows you exactly the way the AI feels, or exactly why the AI feels the way they do about you. Like, +3 for having the same religion, -5 because you declared war on us, +1 because we've been friends for so long. This is such useful information, and it makes playing the game much more fluid and intuitive. So the fourth reason is spillover. In Civ 3, you need 2 shields to finish an archer. Sorry, if you need 2 shields to finish an archer, and you get 10 shields per turn, those extra 8 shields are wasted. In Civ 4, they spill over to the next thing that you are going to produce. Now, I love micromanaging this. It gives me some crazy skill advantages over other players. But from an objective standpoint, this is not good design. It's a needless barrier to getting good at the game. It slows things down if you want to play the game optimally, and it just often feels frustrating trying to manage it. So, the last item on our list is the Great Person system. I feel really conflicted saying this because great people in Civ 4 were far from perfect. And just generally, the increased importance and focus on this mechanic was gimmicky and is a step in the wrong direction for the series, in my opinion. But I can't deny that compared to Civ 3, it is a huge improvement. Mostly because they were just an awful broken feature in Civ 3. Great people never got any better than they were in Civ 4. Like, they just felt tacked on in Civ 5, so this is like the peak for the series in this mechanic. Great people gave an additional purpose to wonders, which I like, because the wonders generated great people points. Being able to join them to the city was also really cool. And the Great Engineer was still overpowered, but at least in Civ 4, the way they are generated is more predictable. It's not an utter crapshoot like in the Scientific Great Leaders are in Civ 3. They do the same thing where they can rush out a wonder. So yeah, the Civilization franchise never got this mechanic right, but I feel that this was the game where they were the closest to getting it right. So yeah, that's how I feel about Civ 4 and the advantages it has over Civ 3. Let me know in the comments if there's anything you think I missed, like things. I haven't played Civ 4 too much. If there's something you think I might have overlooked, another good feature about the game, be sure to let me know. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.